Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my January wrap-up / February TBR. Where do I begin with January? This month has been kind of like a whirlwind. It's been so many things happening at once. I celebrated my birthday. It was kind of like my first month going back into the office while simultaneously adjusting to a new home. So there's just been a lot of new things going on. I also started serving at my church, so that's also really exciting. And this month has been that month of adjustment. However, I did get to read a couple of books. I did get to finish some, I started some, and some I wasn't able to get to. I'm just excited to share the books that I did finish and that I'm currently in the process of finishing, and hopefully you will see them in my February wrap-up once that is up. So to start with, the first book that I completed in January was One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This book, I gave it a 4 stars. However, I do feel like I might bump it down to a 3.5 just because I enjoyed the last like 30-ish% of the book, or maybe more, like the last like 40% of the book. However, it wasn't a book that I would kind of like ever want to reread. I read one time and then that's it. Like I put it away and I forget about it. Unfortunately, I was super excited for this book, and not that it disappointed, because it didn't really disappoint me. It's one of those things where I was expecting a little more, and you know, my expectations were a bit shattered with this one. I did still enjoy this book, and I look forward to reading Two Twisted Crowns once I come across that book again, and when I feel like reading another like darkish fantasy book. But for the most part, I really enjoyed this one, so I'm gonna go ahead and sit it at a 3.5 stars just because it's a happy medium, and it's basically like what I felt while reading the book. ACOTAR. So as you guys all know, obviously ACOTAR is a famous series written by Sarah J. Maas, and I have to give her like kudos because I'm not a fantasy reader. Like I just started getting into fantasy, and so ACOTAR for me was a lot of like energy that I had to put into like understanding what was going on and what was happening. And obviously as I keep reading the series, there's going to be other connections that I'm going to make with this book, I'm sure of it. Honestly, like this book, it was enjoyable. However, again, the same thing, like the first half of it was like world building and relationship building and just kind of figuring out the characters, the personalities of the characters, who's evil and who's good and stuff like that. So we were establishing a lot of like that world building part of it. The last like 40-30% of this book just went hard, and when I tell you hard, like I was shocked. However, I will be uploading a ACOTAR reading series, so I will be going through all the books in the ACOTAR series and making a video out of them and just giving you my thoughts. I will have spoiler sections at the end of each video, so if you've already read it and you want to hear my thoughts about it, you can check that out once it's up. But I did rate this book a 4 stars because, again, the world building is the hardest part for me to get through, just because there's so much politics that goes into it. There's so much detail, so much information that you kind of have to store away for like later things that happen. For me, that was the ultimate reason why I gave it a 4 stars. However, the drama was there, the action was there, the plot twist was there. So for that reason alone, I really enjoyed reading this book, and I'm definitely looking forward to reading Akhomov, which is the second book in the series. And so yeah, this book honestly surprised me. Like I'm invested now because of the way that this book ended. And that's pretty much all I'm gonna say, because I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to tell you guys something by accident and then you guys are upset at me. If you guys have not read the ACOTAR series, follow along with me because it's gonna be my first time reading this series, and you guys, I'm kind of nervous to see what's gonna happen later on as I continue reading. kind of worried. So the first book that I will be continuing to read into February is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This book, again, I did mention it in my mood reading vlog video that I'm on chapter 9, still on chapter 9. I have not touched this book since I told you guys about it, and it makes me a little sad because I really enjoy Divine Rivals. Like, I think I devoured that book in a span of like a day and a half. And with this book, like, obviously I'm happy that this is out and I'm happy to be reading it, but it's just like my mental capacity is not, like, it doesn't want like deep, intricate writing right now. Like, it really wants something light and fluffy and something that's just gonna like entertain me and just not make me want to like invest so much time into right now. But this book I'm hoping to finish by the end of February, and so this is part of my February TBR, but technically it's January's TBR book. Hey, it's a hot mess at this point. Then the second book that I started reading in January that I'm hoping to finish in January, I'm like fingers crossed that I'm able to, Love Redesigned. I am currently 29% through this book on page 141, and so far I'm enjoying the book. I really love it. Enjoying the characters. Some characters are more likable than others, I'm not gonna lie, but I will say that I'm hoping, I think I have like 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I have 5 more days in January left. I don't know why I had to do that math. It's fine. I'm hoping that I can finish at least Love Redesigned in January because it also is the Discord book of the month. That is on my January transitioning into February TBR. But I really want to get started on my February TBR because number 1, I have a lot of fun videos planned, and number 2, I'm just excited for this lineup. I don't even, like, I'm speechless because of how excited I am for the lineup. So let's just jump right in. So these right here are my physical February TBR books, and then I have 3 more lined up for like Kindle books, 3 or 4 more lined up for like Kindle February TBR. But we all know that Kindle, and this is like my delusional self, but every time I read on a Kindle, I feel like I read 10 times faster than I would read like a physical copy of a book. However, I will ride and die for my physical copies. Like, I really do love reading physical books just because I love the feel of the paper. I love being able to turn the page. I love like the smell of the books. I'm one of those people, y'all. I'm one of those people. But I really want to get started on telling you guys what is on my physical TBR for February. First book is The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I bought this book back in like August, September, if I'm not mistaken. So I've had it on my TBR for quite a while. And the premise just seems super interesting to me. Obviously, I think it's enemies to lovers, and they meet again at like this talk show. They basically deliver relationship advice on air. So I'm hoping that it's enemies to lovers, like second chance romance. That's kind of what it's giving. And I also love the cover of this book. Like, I love the podcast mic, I love the letters, I love the concept of like 2 people giving relationship advice over a failed relationship. Like, it just, to me, it's just funny. It looks like it's a pretty short book. I don't think it's more than like 340 pages. So that's also exciting, and I'm looking forward to reading the X Talk. I have nothing else to say but that. The next book on my TBR list is a book that I bought way back when. Actually, I did not buy this. I'm lying, because a good friend of mine sent me this book as a birthday gift, and I'm so thankful for her because, like, I'm gonna cry. But anyway, the book that I'm talking about and the book that I'm most excited to read, I feel like, because she's one of my favorite authors, Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Guys, this is the last book that I have left to read by Emily Henry before Funny Story comes out in April. I'm kind of sad that I left it for like the last book, but honestly I'm not, because what if it becomes my favorite Emily Henry book? Let's sit with that for a second. The next book on my February TBR, physical February TBR, this chunk of a book. This chunky chunk of a book. I think this book, oh, I've read longer than this though. I've read like, I think the most pages that I've read in a book has been 870 pages, 860 pages, like around there. So this book is not that intimidating. However, again, it's fantasy, world building, it's drama, it's action, it's, you know, magical, mystical. We have a lot of stuff going on in this book, so I definitely want to be in the right mentality when I read this book. Court of Mist and Fury, Akamoth, is the next book on my February TBR, and I'm hoping to get to it by the end of this month, so we shall see how that goes. And then the last book on my physical TBR is The Kite Runner. This is a classic book. This book has been around for quite a while. I've heard really good things about this book. One of my reading goals for the 2024 year is to read at least 2 classics, and this, I'm hoping, is going to be the first classic that I dive into, just because I've heard it's a beautiful story, and it's also a classic that I haven't read yet. Growing up in high school specifically, I read a lot of classics, but they were the more popular ones, I will say. To Kill a Mockingbird, Tales of Huckleberry Finn, The Great Gatsby, those kind of books. I think it's gonna give me like a fresh perspective. I think that it's gonna be one of those books where it's gonna make me feel something. It's gonna make me empathize with the storyline, the characters, whatever's going on. And so I just want something like that, a classic that is just really gonna make me wonder and feel something. This is the final book on my physical TBR, and I'm so excited to read it. I can't wait to share my thoughts on this book, just because it's gonna be the first classic that I read in a really long time. I think the last classic that I ever read was The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and that was in 2021. I want to say 2021. So yeah, so it's been a minute since I've read a good old classic story, so this is why The Kite Runner is on my physical TBR. And now we are going into my Kindle TBR. In my Kindle, I have a couple books that I actively want to be reading throughout the month of February, either like using them as a palette cleanser or using them for videos. The first book that I want to read on my Kindle is A Not So Meet Cute by Megan Quinn. I instantly was like, hey, this could be like such a cute, like rom-com-y book that I could read, kind of like a palette cleanser in between all the other physical TBR books, especially A Court of Mist and Fury. So I thought, hey, why not? Why not just include this one in the lineup? Last book that I have on my Kindle TBR lineup is The Lost Ticket. This book is a book that I found out about last year when the girlies got together, the book girlies got together, and they bought like books for each other. And this book just instantly kind of like intrigued me, just because of the premise of the book and also because of the colors of the book. I love like the pinks and the oranges and the yellows together. Like that mustard yellow color is just one of my favorite colors ever. Alrighty guys, so this concludes the January wrap-up slash February TBR video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I really want to enjoy the books as much as possible. I know that there's a lot going on. I know that, you know, we get busy and life gets complicated sometimes, and we just kind of have to roll through the punches at times, but that doesn't stop me from reading some good books, some fun books. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you like, comment, and subscribe whenever you get a chance. I would truly appreciate it. And as always, happy reading. Bye!